Road rage, Tesla fails, and crashes you won't believe. We've got 20 stories lined up for you in this week's episode of
Wham! Bam! Teslacam! I hope you're satisfied!
Witz had just dropped his pregnant wife off at the tint shop to pick up her Tesla Model Y. This footage is from her drive home, but her new car never made it. Minutes after leaving the shop, she was driving down an on-ramp when she slowed down and stopped for traffic waiting at the ramp light. The driver around 300 feet behind her wasn't paying attention before rear-ending her at between 50 and 60 miles per hour. Her Tesla proceeded to slam into a barrier before colliding with another Model Y in front of her. Thankfully, the other driver had swerved to the right just before the collision, reducing the force of the impact. She immediately called Witz in a panic, screaming, "They hit me! They hit me! I was in a car accident!" She then hung up to call 911 after being prompted to do so by her phone and her watch, which had both detected the collision. Witz was stunned. His pregnant wife had just been in a collision and he still had no idea where she was, until he realized he could pull up her car's location in his Tesla app. Once he determined her location, he raced to the scene, but traffic had backed up on the on-ramp. So he used the shoulder to reach the collision scene just 2 minutes after the police. Thankfully, everyone was okay. Witz's wife was taken to the emergency room so she and the baby could be checked out, and amazingly, they were both safe and sound. The repair estimate for the Tesla skyrocketed above $35,000 US, making it a total loss. Witz is thankful for the Teslacam footage from both Teslas that were involved. He told us the driver responsible tried to say that the drivers ahead of him had stopped without warning. The clear video evidence confirms that his excessive speed and inattentiveness is what actually caused the collision, and Witz told us it's clear he was focused on something other than driving. Eric was on his way to work when he approached a delivery truck parked in the middle of the road. He slowed down to wait for an opportunity to go around the delivery truck. The driver of a Chevy S10 behind him tried to pass both Eric and the truck, but the pickup slid through slush before rear-ending Eric's Tesla. A police officer driving by noticed the wreckage and stopped to help. The pickup truck, disabled by the impact, had to be towed away. The Tesla, on the other hand, was still drivable, and Eric continued to drive it for the next 3 months until his appointment at the Tesla Collision Center. Sadly, once it was inspected, it was deemed a total loss due to extensive frame damage. This just goes to show that even if a vehicle is still drivable and the damage appears minimal, it can still be totaled. This submitter was parked on the street when a cyclist slapped his side view mirror as he rode by. The mirror shattered and fell to the ground. But before you start accusing our submitter of parking in a bike lane, check this out. We played a little GeoGuessr with this video, and with the help of the Wendy's behind the Tesla, we found this exact street in Chicago. Let's see what that bike lane looks like in Google Street View. Well, that makes it pretty clear. The Tesla was parked exactly where this garbage truck is, in a completely legal parking spot. As you can see, the bike lane goes around the street parking. It also looks like the street parking is very narrow, which might explain why our submitter's Tesla was spilling a little into the bike lane. While some may argue about the legality of his car's positioning, what is definitely not legal is vandalizing someone else's car. David was going shopping in Lancaster when he suddenly heard sirens coming up behind him. As he checked his rearview mirrors and prepared to get out of the way, he realized that there was a full-blown police chase approaching him from behind. Two unmarked police SUVs tried to block in another SUV just as they passed David, but the fleeing SUV struck back and managed to get past them, sending parts flying. When David arrived at his destination, he was surprised to see that the chase had ended where he'd been headed. Thankfully, the suspect was in custody. David told us it's one thing to see a police chase in a movie, but it's very exciting to find yourself in the middle of one. He said the sound of the vehicles colliding was quite satisfying, but if you thought that was a crazy police video, wait until you see the next one. Sentry mode on Hendrix's Tesla was activated when a SWAT team rolled up to raid his neighbor's house early one morning. Multiple blacked-out SUVs, Dodge Chargers, a K-9 unit, and even an armored vehicle all quickly surrounded the property. Hendricks was getting ready to start his day when he heard someone outside yell, "Search warrant!" That's when he looked outside to discover the situation unfolding. He told us his first thought was, this has to be Wham Bam worthy. He didn't ask the officers what was going on or try to get involved. The only interaction he had with them was being told he'd have to wait a while when he asked if he could leave. He also didn't see if anyone was arrested, so he still isn't sure what happened. A while later, all the vehicles cleared out and everything was quiet. This submitter watched a Hyundai driver merge into the exit lane just as a Volvo was entering the highway. What followed was the closest call our submitter has ever seen. What makes no sense is the way the Hyundai driver then swerved in front of the Volvo driver and brake-checked them, instead of backing off to give the clueless driver some space. That reckless maneuver could have easily turned this close call into a collision. Taylor was using full self-driving in his Tesla while on his way to pick up brunch one morning. Suddenly, his car hesitated to make a left turn even though the light ahead was green. Taylor was confused, but not for long. A food truck blasted past him, T-boning the vehicle next to him that had been headed straight. Taylor stopped to check on the driver, who was the only occupant in the vehicle. Thankfully, he was unhurt, and Taylor provided him with a copy of his Teslacam footage. He also said he never wanted to have anything to send to Wham Bam Teslacam, but he's glad for the opportunity to show that FSD can save lives. This submitter was driving his brand new Model Y in Connecticut, and the drive was a smooth one until a wild Chrysler 300 appeared. Yikes, that was a close one. Our submitter told us the Chrysler appeared damaged already, and it's possible the driver was fleeing from something. This submitter was exiting a garage when his Tesla mistook the image of a woman on a billboard for a real person and slammed on the brakes. Thankfully, our submitter was able to override the accelerator and continue. This submitter was supervising full self-driving on a busy Indiana highway when a Chevy SUV driver pit maneuvered himself off a semi-truck. The collision sent the 18-wheeler, which was hauling logs, careening into the median barrier. FSD slowed down and safely navigated away from the wreck and away from the debris left in the road. Thankfully, nobody was injured, but we can only imagine the bill the Chevy driver's insurance provider is about to receive. When you consider the damage to the truck, its cargo, and the median barrier, it's not going to be pretty. Kin had left his car parked at the entrance of a parking lot, causing Sentry mode to be triggered every time anyone went through the entrance gate. Not every vehicle cleared the gate, though. One golf cart drove straight through it, taking the gate arm clean off. The disappointment in the nearby employee's facial expression and facepalm is just painful. OEX was heading to the Grand Canyon for a camping trip when random road debris caused a freak accident right in front of him. OEX's Tesla alerted him as soon as the brake lights ahead started to come on, even as he could see cars ahead swerving. The driver of the car ahead of him ran over a tire tread, tearing both of the bumper covers off his newly purchased vehicle, which we can tell by the temporary license plate it used to have. When parts started flying, OEX swerved to avoid as much debris as he could, with a pickup pulling a trailer on his right and the median on his left. The driver ahead then kept right on going, seemingly unaware of the damage his vehicle had sustained. This submitter's Sentry mode was triggered in a parking lot when the driver of the Porsche parked behind him was getting ready to leave. The driver had just finished loading her groceries, which evidently made her so tired that she didn't have enough energy to return her cart to the corral. Instead, she left it next to our submitter's Tesla, and before she'd even walked around his car, it started rolling. The cart scraped the side of his Tesla, and our submitter would love to get a hold of the woman responsible. If you recognize her or her vehicle, contact us and we'll forward the information to our submitter. Austin was using full self-driving's hurry mode when his Tesla must have thought the driver of the vehicle in front of it was letting it turn in front of him. In reality, the other driver was distracted by his phone, but by the time Austin realized what was happening, it was too late for him to intervene. The other driver clearly was offended by this, as he then threw a full milkshake at Austin's Tesla, straw and all. The other driver's face is clearly visible in Austin's Teslacam footage, along with the milkshake toss and the vehicle's license plate number, so Austin made a police report. They haven't contacted him back. Austin told us he was excited to have a submission for us after owning his Tesla for a year, but he wasn't expecting it to be a video of someone raging against the machines. John was driving his Model 3 in Bend, Oregon when he approached traffic backed up for a red light. The driver of a Volvo started crossing the road, darting out in front of John just as he approached the intersection. The impatient Volvo driver T-boned an oncoming Toyota, whose driver had no opportunity to react. The Toyota driver eventually stumbled out of their car, unhurt after the side airbags had deployed. A bystander checked on her after calling 911. The Volvo driver was found responsible for the collision after recklessly speeding across the intersection without being able to see if there was cross traffic. Tarad was in stop-and-go traffic on his way to work one morning. He told us he changes lanes if he notices someone following too closely, but the driver of the Nissan Versa behind him seemed to be keeping a safe distance. He let his guard down to take a sip of coffee and bam! The impact sent his hot coffee all over his shirt, pants, and, of course, the inside of his Tesla. Both drivers pulled over, and Tarad told us the Nissan driver was very kind and even offered him a towel to clean up the coffee. Tarad made a claim with his own insurance provider, who initially estimated the damage at over $2,000 US. But when his Tesla was inspected at a repair center, the new estimate came to almost $8,000. Kevin was eating in his Tesla in a hospital parking lot while waiting for the birth of his second daughter, and he explained that he didn't feel right about eating in front of a woman in labor unable to eat. A couple of teenagers were climbing into their vehicle, and in the process, one let their door fly open, smacking Kevin's Tesla. Kevin immediately checked for damage, but the teenagers pretended nothing had happened even as Kevin spoke with their parents. Their father asked him, "What are you gonna do? They're kids and accidents happen." Kevin agreed, but told him he still needed to accept responsibility for the damage. He didn't want to share his insurance information, but after Kevin informed him that the whole incident had been captured by his Teslacam, he finally relented. A few hours later, his daughter was born. Kevin is happy to report that both mama and baby are doing great. The other driver's insurance provider accepted liability, and they'll be paying an estimated $1,000 US to fix the damage. This submitter was driving home after lunch when he captured double trouble with his Teslacam. First, a Volkswagen on his left ran a red light. A minute later, a cyclist cut in front of two cars, and one of them, a Honda Civic, almost bumped him off his bike, swerving just in time. Thankfully, a convenient cop stopped to have a little chat with Pedal Knievel. Our submitter sent along this message: always expect the unexpected. Of course, if you expect it, is it still unexpected? Something to think about. David was driving his Cybertruck when a BMW driver failed to yield, forcing him to swerve into the grass to avoid a collision. Incredibly enough, the BMW driver was using his turn signal in this case. It must be aftermarket, since we all know BMWs don't come with turn signals. Dave was sitting at a red light in Gilbert, Arizona when a beautiful red Model 3 drove past him. You might have noticed that wasn't the only thing that happened in front of Dave. The driver of an SUV turning left failed to yield and smashed into a Toyota. While multiple other people checked on the two drivers, Dave offered a copy of his Teslacam footage to the responding police. Incredibly, the drivers were unhurt, and the police turned down Dave's offer as they already had multiple witness statements. Of course, Wham Bam will always accept your Teslacam footage. If you have a video to share with us, you'll find the submission link in the description, or just visit whambam.com.